All right, today we are so excited to bring on an amazing guest and one of our team members, the amazing Enrique Parrales, taking on our quality and advisor role with Wilderness Reboot. What's up, Enrique?
How you doing, buddy?
Good,
Good to
man.
see
Good,
you,
good,
man.
good.
Good to see you. Good to see your face. Good to see you smiling.
Yep.
Awesome. Can't complain. It's beautiful here. A little bit gray, but it's England, so you can't expect more.
Right. Where's your tea? I'm hoping you'd have your English tea in front of you with the little
That's
spoon.
it. That's it. That's it. It's over here, buddy.
Okay.
Love my
Okay.
love my coffee, but England's tea is good. It's good quality.
Right. So we're transitioning, which we'll come back to later with this theme of transition. But it sounds like you're transitioning from the Costa Rican coffee time to now the English tea time. Interesting.
That's it. That's it. I do love my coffee in the mornings and sometimes before I go to bed as well. So.
All right, so we're gonna get into it today, Enrique. And for folks who are listening, I'm sure a lot of folks will already know who you are, but I want you to tell your story and for folks to get to know you. And so, if you're listening, we really want to just showcase this incredible team member we have today. So, give it a really good listen. And so, let's start to dive in it. Obviously, this is the Wilderness Reboot podcast, and Wilderness Reboot again is a transitional support community for wilderness therapy alumni. It's a unique tribe, and we exclusively design it just for this community because we know how unique and impactful and just life changing wilderness therapy can be. And so, without
Yeah.
further ado, we're gonna go ahead and dive into hearing Enrique's story and how he got into wilderness therapy. So, Enrique, let's just go with the flow here and go ahead and tell our listeners. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, man. That's awesome. Well, I can just tell you, probably spend quite a few hours if we want to talk about how much passion and love I have for the outdoors, how much I love nature. As a Costa Rican growing up in Costa Rica, you're surrounded by nature, wildlife, and everything is already there. It's accessible to you since you're little, which is something that later on I realized you take for granted. Especially after pandemic, I realized how much I took for granted wilderness
Right.
and outdoors and having access to all the beautiful benefits that comes with it. Um, and to be honest, well, early age, being a young kid and in my teens, just being able to go outdoors, fishing, camping, going backpacking, going hiking. I was one of those crazy kids that we used to palm uh, an inner tube of one of the big tractor wheels, pump it up and just take and go down the rivers. And we didn't know later on that was called whitewater rafting, right? We didn't have a helmet and a life jacket at that time, so just lucky to be still standing here, and I appreciate how beautiful the experience was. And funny enough, one of my cousins, he's a similar age, a little older than me. Always seemed like my big brother, one of my biggest brother, I guess. Uh, he and I we used to go to the rivers and loved it there. And we used to see people going down the river doing whitewater rafting, and we always were fascinated about that extreme sport. We used to play around and tell one another that, yeah, one day we're gonna be doing that, one day we're gonna be playing. Like to be what is it to be a what steering the ball. We didn't know was a rafting guy, whatever it was, right?
Right.
And then later on, we realized we ended up working for that company that it was Outbound Costa Rica. Outbound Costa Rica used to run whitewater rafting trips around the South Pacific, some of the most beautiful rivers around that area, Sabega River, General River, and well, you've been in Costa Rica, you've been in those rivers, you know how beautiful they are, landscaping, rapids quality, but also good for outdoor education expeditions. And well, we got into that because I were bound Costa Rica. Then to me, that was fascinating because I was able to connect my passion already with the outdoors, my passion already with, being out there, out there camping, backpacking, going to the rivers, surfing, everything, and the benefits that that brought, and being able to connect. Wow, this is actually a job. This is actually a career. You can actually help people through nature and through connecting, and that's how we started. I started as a logistics, working in logistics, learning about base days and operations and all of that stuff, but also shadow training senior field guys and becoming, you know, little by little going into the field and learning and acquiring the skills and qualifications and everything. It was a fascinating journey. I did it for 5 years, and now we're bound. Uh,
Wow.
for a lifetime changer for me. Just knowing that okay, this is definitely what I do for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Being the outdoors, being connected, not having to wear a suit to go to the office or anything like that. Like things like that to me, that was amazing. Um, Through that experience later on, I was able to understand more the benefits that comes with being basically in the outdoors and connecting with nature and powerful people and a strong network, strong connections, and good role modeling there. Then I was lucky enough to become a part of a project called Introspections Costa Rica at that time. It was a residential program. That's what I started to have early basically I guess experience around wilderness somehow because most of our students or young adults coming to those to that transition program, they were coming from wilderness therapy, primary primary wilderness therapy and adventure therapy as well.
Hmm.
Because my experience with Outward Bound, I was one of the head mentors there, was the adventure coordinator, and that took me on a journey of almost 3 years with them. Beautiful, very rewarding.
Wow.
Learned so much from now to understand what is to work with a clinician, with the therapies, and combine
Sure.
adventure, nature, transition programs, strong academic programs. Um, um, I'm just basically mentor and coach and seeing kids transforming from day one to after 9, 12 months that they spent in Costa Rica. That was very powerful,
Wow.
beautiful. Then again, he inspired me more, even more, just to continue in that field, to continue that, learning more about it. I was always fascinated about outdoor education. To this day, I still wondering why Costa Rica with such a beautiful outdoors and potential, they don't have such career as outdoor education or anything like that,
Right.
because the country is more focused on tourism or rural tourism and you know ecotourism, everything like that.
Sure.
Which is that's another stage of my life that I've done. A little bit more of recreational tourism and outdoor like rural tourism.
Right, but there's a
Um,
lot of carryover, a lot of transfer, lot of confluence of concepts. Outdoor
yeah.
stewardship and ecotourism and environmental interpretation, and then the recreational component of safe, adventure programming, understanding objective hazards, and maybe that we're bound. And Kurt Hanmaul's more about character and human
Yes.
development, kind of with the mountains speak for themselves, and some a little bit facilitation with independent reflection and debriefing. But then it sounds like, as you got into the introspections, more clinical, more academic, a lot of different considerations. So it's really cool
Yeah.
because they're very
And
connected.
definitely an understanding all of a sudden, learning the Korean philosophy, how to apply that into more in a clinical aspect of things and helping, some of those young individuals dealing with some clinical complexities. It was fascinating. To this day, still something that intrigues me a lot,
Yeah.
continue to interest me a lot, and you continue to learn so much and develop yourself, be able to provide more tools. That that was a big part of the journey as well. Then, well, Andrew Taylor, a really good friend of ours, a really good mentor for me. He is the executive director and founder of Pure Life Costa Rica. At that time, he was a part of the Pure Life Spirit group as well. It's still Pure Life down there. Um, he he invited me to become a part of this. I remember Andrew contacted me and says, we're gonna start this project. I want to see if you want to give it a go and see if something that you might be interested to start with me. He asked me, I don't know if you have any experience working with wilderness, or have you heard about that? I says, well, I don't know if it counts other than working with our band, and he and I we worked for our band. He was the river manager and running river trips down there in Costa Rica. That's how I met Andrew Taylor,
Nice.
and then this is how we started, right? We become very good friends, and I said, I don't know if that counts, obviously, but I also work for Introspection in Costa Rica, being a residential program. He's like, oh wow, that's crazy, such a small word, such a small coincidence, but it definitely helps because I already understood what wilderness was all about, even though I haven't had the experience to be in the field
Sure.
as a wilderness instructor or anything. It was something that we were going to start, more with a component of adventure wilderness therapy, um, bringing on board the cultural aspect of being in Costa Rica, the language challenge of running a program in Spanish and in a
Yeah.
different country in a different language, and things that came with that as well. So it was a very very rewarding journey as well. Almost 6 years with them. Uh, and if it wasn't because my family and I we relocated to England, I probably would have still working with that pure life because I always see myself in the outdoors again. Fascinating working in that field. Um, now I've been more in England since a little bit before pandemic. I was able to come here. Lucky enough, things happen for a reason. I was able to be with my family here before pandemic, and then we through pandemic. Um, but I had a few opportunities lined up. There is an organization, very beautiful organization here. It's called Wilderness Foundation. They do elements of wilderness and primary skills and facilitates no as therapeutic
Mhm.
components, but there is some therapeutic interventions and support kits just that on that aspect as well. But because pandemic, everything was in standby, so I was collaborating with them a little bit, and it is more recently I became engaged. Well, I've been working with different organizations that their element of care goes through service, basically drugs and alcohol service, to the public, government funding, supporting the adults especially, through elements of addiction and through elements of uh, substance misuse and things that we're familiar, but in less access to wilderness in that
Mm.
sense. But funny enough, everything I learned through this journey is applicable in a very beautiful way because there is such a thing as even being in your garden. You could apply concepts of mindfulness, concepts of well-being that are helpful when you're trying to create healthy habits, when you're trying to replace unhealthy habits, unhealthy um, unfortunately addictions, with the aims to turn your life around. And that's ultimately is all I've been doing for more than 20 years now. I'm a little old. I'm a little old now, buddy.
Yeah. So you have a taste of
Never
everything.
rely.
You had just your background and cultural upbringing in such a beautiful place, which I got to graciously experience for a few years, which was just such an incredible time in my life, which I still want to go back. I often joke, with my little office props and my Costa Rican stuff, how much it really just changed some perspectives I had. And I think that cultural perspective that the Costa Rican culture has, and their love for preserving and living with nature, like for example, land management differences, like in the United States with the Bureau of Land Management and National Park Services and Bureau of Agriculture, these things, we, you could argue kind of mess up one area and keep another area like really nice and don't touch it. But you'll see in Costa Rica, a lot of parks, people are living there and they're working with the land and taking care of the land. And so it's so cool to hear your journey, how you had that upbringing, got into a more outdoor leadership adventure focused program called Outward Bound, which, you know, there's even so much more to say about that. And then got into, a transition program that had still components and interventions of getting outside. And then an all inclusive wilderness therapy program, which is where I met you. And I just love your story of meeting Andrew because it seems like such a organic and natural evolution and great fit of a role that you kind of came into. And I really saw towards the end, you guys getting that program up and running and just doing an incredible job with all the challenges. I mean, you finished the AE accreditation, and it certainly wasn't this North American company in Costa Rica. I mean, all of my staff members and co-guides were from Costa Rica. It really helped me adopt the values and customs and culture of Costa Rica. And for the students coming in, I think that was awesome to see maybe someone they can familiarize themselves with, like a guy from the States, also
Yeah, yeah,
modeling to them being respectful to another culture and being in another country and everything that involves. And I think at that early age, maybe even from a cognitive behavioral therapy approach, like looking at life that it's about working together and it's not about me and it's about valuing simple
yeah.
things in life. And that's the pura vida that I think rubbed off on me and that, you guys taught me. And so what do you think, as we kind of transition now and hearing your story, Enrique, what do you think were some of, you saw a lot, obviously. What were the components that you thought with this outdoor modalities, these adventure modalities, these outdoor leadership, wilderness therapy modalities, getting outside? What made it work in your opinion? What made it so special?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, Mark. I mean, wilderness itself is beautiful, it's powerful. Nature itself is powerful. I think, Andrew being not only my good friend, but a really good mentor. I remember he shared with us one day a quote that I love, and it was like, nature treats you equally. Nature doesn't see color, gender, religion, preference, doesn't see location, doesn't see anything. It treats you equally. And I think that is brilliant and it's beautiful because even though we were in such a privileged setting in Costa Rica, as you say. We had the hybrid model that was perfect. I think I love the combination of being able to have our young adults understanding the good things from their own setting and the pros and cons, and the good things from being overseas and experience that absolutely cultural and language immersion, and also seeing a whole different setting and being born of a whole different element of nature, right? I think that was
Yeah.
beautiful. But what made it more impactful was the connection, was the community, was the ability to understand, as you say, that ultimately comes to all of us being in the same place, in the same time, in the same dynamic, eating the same things, eating the same peanut butter, eating the same rice and beans, that brought us together, and try to speak the language, trying to learn new skills. So feeling vulnerable at that level was very powerful.
Wow.
And I think that's something that to this day, I think we pretty much keep experiencing, even though you become an adult, you become, successful at, and as you can call successful, and the things that each of us we feel successful in, you still, if you still allow yourself to be vulnerable and learn with things, I think that is very powerful. That's always been my biggest takeaway from, my whole transition, seeing the whole transition, working, connection, family, friends, even here right now, just being connected through technology is crazy to think
Right.
about. Hours difference, how easy it is. I feel like when I hug you right now, we're it's just there, and I'm now seeing the advantages of technology is something that it works as well. And I remember that even though, our young adults were in the wilderness and, they didn't have access to technology, all of those things, when that phone call happened with their parents, when that phone call happened with their educational consultants and with their therapists, it was beautiful. It was powerful. It was magical. They were actually they were more appreciative to that 5, 10 minutes
Oh yeah.
interaction that being on their phone all their life at that
Sure.
time. Now they probably could reflect how important it is to have a balance around those things. And now probably they're, like us, we moderate our contact and interactions with technology these days, with TV, with exercising, with, naughty treats and,
Sure.
all of those
Sure.
things that comes with it. So. But yeah, definitely connection, family, friends, vulnerable in that setting. I think that is just, it's probably where it work a lot.
Yeah, I think that's you said some really good stuff, and yeah, just the idea of an intentional community that has the centerpiece of being for the group and adhering to some a semblance of common goals that's good for everyone, holding each other accountable, and having a team that
Yeah.
is non-judgmental and open, and you can debrief things and talk about the day and work through your issues and see them come up in wilderness too. Because I think that's another great thing you see in wilderness is students who come see maybe some of the issues that were happening at home surface in wilderness through other group members and conflict. And as a wilderness guy, I think our job was really mirroring, holding space, and helping folks navigate that and helping implement tools and skills for them to communicate effectively, help with leadership decisions, but ultimately showing them that they can do that and that they have those tools and skills. And I've seen some just amazing breakthrough being a guide and in that really
Yeah.
magical, intense, and vulnerable time on the trail. Like I've seen a lot of breakdowns, but conflict is so healthy. And I think in our culture,
Yeah.
you don't see that same framing around conflict. People are kind of scared of
Yeah.
it, and I think you do see also when students are in programs their reluctancy, or I guess you could say, their longing for getting back to tech use and how they want to, that fear of
Yeah.
missing out on what's going on back at home. And, you know, it's 2022, and I've even seen in my short career in outdoor behavioral health and a few programs that a lot of students that are coming, it's more tech related and social related, and every kid is on their phone now and they want to know what's going on. And I think that's something you hear a lot, even when you get to the end of their wilderness and they're picking out, perhaps not all of them, but some of them, a different transition program, and they're figuring out if this one has more privileges, or I can get my phone back, or on weekends, and they really want to get that phone back. And it's amazing the changes you see with wilderness and how they're directly associated with becoming free of distractions and just focusing on you and the group members and what you can create just amongst
Yeah.
yourself. And I think, you know, it's such an important thing to talk about because I think it can be used for good. And here we are now forming this project, and it's like this juxtaposition of like this wilderness tribe who had such an impactful experience, and then like coming back home, not having that community, but in like tech use and you know, figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, that's absolutely right. I think it's always the fear of the unknown, the fear of, we create habits, we get used to things, we create routines, whether are healthy or unhealthy, so we get attached to those routines, right? And I think that's the biggest, it's like your comfort blanket, right? Your pillow. When you're there, all of a sudden you're being sent to the
Yeah.
wilderness, and all of a sudden you have no access to any of that. It's understandable, but there is intentionality around that because it's about being in the present moment. It's about understanding that, actually I could have a more impactful conversation and advice and shift my life around when I'm actually talking to my peer, with my instructor out there in the field, my guy, my therapist, when I receive a letter from my parents and all of that. And I think,
Yeah.
again, what all of those highlights is community, is connection, because ultimately as human beings we are meant to be
Yeah.
connected, somehow. And we struggle, we are disconnected, but also once we bring that balance, we appreciate loneliness and self-care time more. And I think that is still going. It's not gonna go
Sure.
anywhere, but we also gotta appreciate our young generation. I mean, I didn't grow up with a cell
Right.
phone. I got into technology and all of that, but like talk to my daughter these days, and she thinks the regular TV is Netflix, right? She
Right.
doesn't know what
Exactly.
she doesn't know what regular
Yeah.
TV is all about,
No
things like
Nokia
that.
flip
And you just
phone
gotta
2.9
appreciate,
texting anymore. It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes, you, you just gotta appreciate all of that, right?
yeah,
Those
yeah.
changes.
No, it's interesting because we have so much more connection now, and I think it comes back to that intentional community, that it's meaningful connection rather than just connection.
Yeah.
And I think what's unique about this idea of wellness reboot is that we're setting aside a safe and a therapeutically safe and fun, closed, confidential community that is a community that will only be understood by the people who have experienced and gone through this
Yes.
life-changing 90-day, wilderness experience.
Completely agree. Even for us as professionals, that when we talk about what do you do for a living, or what have you done for a living? Oh, well, I've been a wilderness adventure program director, a wilderness adventure guy, or what is
Yeah, the
that?
million dollar question.
You still do. That's it. They don't get it, right? And I think that's always something that makes me laugh because it's been a big part of my life, and it's something I'm still passionate. I miss it every day, when I'm not in contact with others and things like that. But at the same time, you develop, you grow, and you learn more how to put things into context and to put into balance. But definitely agree with you. The fascinating opportunity that is to be connected through meaningful platforms, through meaningful networks, through meaningful members. That is something that's why I got fascinated that you invite me to be a part of this project because I think to these days, especially for me, when I've seen pandemic, how disconnected we were, even with technology, and how we became more toxic around news, around fear, around social media and things
Yeah,
like that. Having an outlet, a healthy outlet, where you can actually reflect, where you can actually connect in a healthy way. That is, you know,
sure.
beautiful. It's powerful, and I love what we're
Yeah.
doing on that
Yeah,
sense.
when I it's so cool and authentic because, you were like my capitan, so to speak, like as my program director. And you were the first person I thought of. And obviously, like everyone loved you at Pure Life because of just your Costa Rican aura and just you. And it's so cool because, like, in the here and now, as you even brought this idea of like hugging me, like there's this bubbliness and this longing to connect, particularly because we knew how unique our relationship was in real life through the wilderness therapy world. And I think that's so authentic, even among staff and guides, because the relationships we have are really
Yeah,
unique, really meaningful. It's not like a coworker at an office that you work 9 to 5. You're in the backcountry, you're with, young adults, and you're cultivating change and fostering courage and breakthrough, and you're helping
yeah,
create a healthy culture, and you're going through it together, and you're on the same team, and it's just such a unique thing. And so you stay in touch as best you can. In our world, our community, people are all over the place, getting after it, guiding,
yeah,
and so when you do connect, it's like, oh, how have you been? And it feels a little bit different maybe than other relationships. And just knowing that authentically, how we feel is just how our
yes,
alumni and students are feeling. And it's so cool because as we started this project, we've seen that need and that desire and that want to reconnect. And that's what I think we want to encourage. And it's
yeah,
it's cool that we're starting to hear the stories come out more and more and more, because again, Wilderness Reboot, we're not a wilderness program, and we're not a transition program. We're just an additional
yeah.
resource to provide that community that understands this type of participant who has gone through this life changing experience.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing. If anything, I learned through my whole experience, Mark, is the value that lays in collaboration. And I'm bringing additional resources, bringing additional skills, or in this case, a platform like this, for them to connect and to refresh their knowledge, to reconnect again. Is so powerful. Even, I remember myself, obviously, when you're a program director, you get more trapped in the office and things. But for me, every time I was able to go to the field, it was so re-energizing seeing our students, seeing you guys in the field, like sometimes bringing fruits and things like that, and just have a laugh around that. That was simple things that we value a lot, but that allow real connection. And I think the value that comes with that is absolutely, if you could replicate that now that I've been, 5 years after I did my wilderness program, all of a sudden I could actually reconnect with, you know some of my previous peers, perhaps, that are now members of the community, or start interacting, sharing my advice, sharing my experience, sharing my, any piece of feedback that could benefit someone else that have been on the same struggles and the same journey. That is going to be
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful. And I think that itself is a huge
huge
value.
value. Yeah, and I think the stuff you've added to this project and thoughts is just, it's really making this thing just really come to life. And the journal that we developed and resources for them just to be set up for success. You know, like these daily journal prompts and nature quotes that help them
Yeah.
build those habits. So when they're coming back home, they're not mindlessly scrolling at night, and now they can replace that with an analog habit that they're forming, a new routine for 3 months when they get out of wilderness, and then the video modules, then
Yeah.
the app of the community chatting and the meet and greets and the morning meetings and replicating what that's like, because we
Yeah.
know when the student comes in, there's nothing more powerful than a healthy group culture where it takes care of itself, and we're just stepping
Yeah.
back and making sure we're supporting them, because it's better for a student to hear from maybe that leader who's there 10 or 12th week and about to graduate, that um, that member that comes in who is not having buy-in, is reluctant, doesn't want to be there, that they get that support from other group members and saying, hey, stick with the program, trust the process, it's going to get better, I was
Yes.
like you and we're here to support you, and coming into a welcoming community. And that's what's so cool. And
Yeah.
I even wonder, and just being really honest publicly here, like as I worked at Pure Life, and you were always popping in and out of your office, and you would support staff and management, and we'd have in our in service some of that downtime for those 10 minutes at Tico time. We play a little volleyball or have some coffee and chat. Um, I was always wanting a little bit more of an interaction with you, and it was so cool as you exited the program before you took on that new chapter through family out in the UK, that we actually did a trip together. And you joined and supported
Uh,
myself and Cynthia, who was the other co-guide, down to the Golfo Dulce, the Sweet Gulf in Puerto Jimenez for that week of kayaking. And man, that was
yes.
like the coolest thing. It was so cool having you. And that's what's cool about this. It's like all
Uh,
encompassing. Like everyone's in on it.
That that was beautiful. I to this day, I got pictures from that beautiful experience. That was amazing. Being able to connect, with you guys there in the field. Uh, I always value your work, your hard work, but also being there 24/7, for a whole week. That was beautiful. It was powerful. I needed that. I was pleased that you guys took me on board. So that was awesome as well. Time with you and time with Cynthia, time with our students at that time. And a beautiful location in Costa Rica, pristine primary forests that you couldn't feel more privileged and blessed by being there, with with that real connection there, and symbiosis with nature as well. It got me emotional because I knew it was coming to an end of a beautiful journey
All
with Pure
right.
Life for me, and to a beginning of a new chapter as well, a new venture. But that if ever we gotta meet up and we gotta come back and
Yeah.
do definitely go to the Gulf
With
of Dulce
Alberto,
with
yeah.
Alberto,
Yeah.
Albertito, and
Get some
everybody.
stories and go fishing, and that's kind of what's so cool. We really are
Everybody
replicating
there.
that in this culture and in this community that we're doing virtually, because everyone should at least have that community when they come home. We know that the aftercare
Yeah.
transition journey isn't perfect. There's some loose ends and some uh, little spots in between. And that's why we want to be an additional resource. It's a low price point. We know not all families can
Yeah.
afford it, and not all, but we recognize many, and many that I've worked personally, were financially exhausted after wilderness. And so, comparable to that cycle of students within the group in their 12-week process, wilderness helping the ones coming in, to even staff doing it, and your journey of, think about outward bound and introspections, and then starting a wilderness program, and now you're coming back to the group. That's like what we're doing. People supporting other people, because we're creating a network of alumni, guides, students, people who know what this world is about. And that is why we get so freaking amped up, like I am already talking about this, because it's just when you find your people and someone knows what you've been through and you can relate, it's just easier. It's tough, it's tiring explaining to
Yeah.
everyone what wilderness therapy is, because there's some transfer and overlap from other things, but it's not any one thing, and it's just tough to explain unless you've done it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what the cool thing is all about. Being able to bring all of that, all of those, share all those memories, great memories, share all those amazing stories from the field, things that we could be sharing here. Um, Again, it's just the at the same level, whether you were a participant, whether you were a field guy, whether you were, a position of admin, logistics, or programming, or whether you're a clinician, all the people that are coming on board just come together for the same passion. Again, we seem equal, and we are treated equally as nature
Right.
treats us equally in a way, coming together to the same passion. And again, recognizing that you are going to continue to learn. To this day, I still review my skills and my curriculum, and I know I'm not the most consistent human being in life when it
Right.
comes to
We all
certain
hit
things,
walls.
because I'm Costa Rican. I feel pura vida and I'm the mañana mañana all the time, right? So, so, but being able to review that, and if you all of a sudden you've been struggling with that, and you have support in your network and this platform, someone telling you, what, I've been there, I've done this. It's kind of
Sure.
refreshing again, just to see, just to put you on track. Also coming to a platform where you're not going to be distracted
Right.
like any other type of social media. This is more dedicated to you. This is, you can come on and off whenever you want, knowing that the community is there as well. I think that makes it quite unique,
Yeah.
and I like that
Yeah.
as
And I
well.
think that idea of when you have such an intentional community and you leave that and you come back to just a different life and routine, when you do see those relationships, like relationships again, rather, you access those memories and you are reminded of that relationship that you had with that person, the things that were happening in that relationship, in that close, intentional space. And there's a lot of magic there. And so to kind of close and wrap up,
Yeah.
Enrique, with and just thanks so much for sharing your story for folks listening. And obviously, you have just so much experience and a wealth of knowledge, and you've been in this field for literally over 20 years with industry professionals. And so, what would be your message to maybe other wilderness programs, transition programs, or maybe families who might want to consider utilizing this platform?
Yeah, I mean, if anything more, I'm always going to be grateful with the amount of exposition, collaboration I've been getting from professionals through my whole journey. Seeing and learning from therapists, learning from educational consultants, from families, from the students, from field guys, from everyone. The amount of passion, love is powerful. It's beautiful, and I think everything I learn, everything I want to continue to learn is through that connection, through that community, through that experience. So I wanna, if anything I could say is, we're trying to somehow bring this an element of opportunity through this platform, taking in account that, I guess, a little bit with my experience in risk management, I'm going to be trying to make sure that we are always aligned to have a safe, emotionally platform for all the users, all the community members. We're HIPAA compliant. We make sure, through the admission process, since the moment that they interact with our social um, media, with our social platform, and forums and things like that, make sure that we're protecting their confidentiality, so parents could be, and family members could be safe, that we're taking this seriously, because that's the reason why we're only making a part of the very powerful, very amazing community that comes with wilderness programs, transitional programs, and then the same very unique field. Again, we're just an add-on. We just um, try to continue to be by the same standards that most of those programs are familiar with, like OBH, the Outer Behavioral Council is really, really, really good. Um, a framework for us to just to follow and just to continue, to try to bring as much as possible into this online platform. Knowing that we're humans, knowing there will be errors, but knowing that we'll be learning from professionals out there, from all the good feedback that could come from programs, from students. Well, we like to say students all the time, because we got that word, students, but from the members in this community as well. Um, that's just things. The intentional is there. This is something that I learned through being in those programs, making sure that it's an emotionally safe and a physically safe space when you're out there in the woods. This is going to be online, so the minimum we can do is to ensure this is
Yeah.
emotionally
Yeah.
safe.
Thanks so much, Enrique. And you said just some incredible things. And it sounds like, we could maybe even do a part two. And I think we might. And again, for folks listening, Thanks for tuning in. Wilderness Reboot is so excited to provide this transitional support community for Wilderness alum because we know how special it is, and that's why we're giving a lifetime membership for a purchase into our community, and we will be donating a portion of that purchase to Sky's the Limit because we believe so much in wilderness therapy. We want to give back, and we want to make sure that's more accessible to folks who are, perhaps financially disadvantaged. And so, with your help, we're going to hopefully make it a little bit more inclusive and diverse. And thanks so much for tuning in and getting to know Enrique, his journey, his story, where he's been, and how he's making this such an amazing platform having him. So, Enrique, thanks so much.
All right, thank you. This is a privilege to me to be a part of this, and thank you for everybody listening. And I can wait to see how this journey takes us because I think it's only gonna be getting better and better and better for all of us. We're passionate about this, and for the members, I know you are excited to, just give us some of your real
Yeah.
unique experiences and
Cool,
everything
man.
there.
Well, pura vida, as I guess we would say, and I guess we'll
Pura vida.
close the
Let's
meeting.
close.
Yeah.
Let's close this meeting.
All right. See you, man.
See you, buddy. Take care.